I think my art started when I was a little tiny kid, but you can only remember so far back. So I'll have to start with what I can remember as a little kid. I was born in Seattle, Washington, but back then I didn't have any playmates. We lived in the country, so I started drawing in the sand. There was a stream that went along by our house, very close, and I would go out and the sand was moist. It was a small stream, and I'd draw in it. And I guess the first thing that looked like an object was, my parents tell me, was an animal. But from there I evolved into quite a bit later in life. When I was in kindergarten, I can recall my first box of crayons. As a little child, I kind of got the reputation of being able to draw things. And in grade school, I was called upon to draw things to hang up in the hall and so on. The biology teacher, the one that we consider to be the biology teacher because she knew about all those kinds of things, wanted me to draw some animals hang upon the wall. I drew apes, and I guess they weren't very good, but the teacher thought they were. And so from there I went on to actually have a real artist as a teacher in the 6th grade. It was George Dibble, and interestingly enough, when I went to the University of Utah after the Navy, one of the art professors was George Dibble. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, talented, and so he showed us how to do perspective. And little by little through the years, I picked up ideas from different people. And ultimately in high school, I had one of Utah's foremost artists, Salisbury, who was he painted with oils. That was fascinating to me. So I got my first oil paints, and so I fiddled around with oil paints before, just a short time before I graduated from high school. And then it was time to join the Navy. In my satchel that I took with me I was shaving at the time, were my shaving tools and that type of thing, and also a little bit of art equipment. I wasn't going to let that go entirely, so I had some colored pencils and a set of watercolors, and they went along with me all the way through the war. And when I got back home, the first thing I did was get some more oil paints. And I had a little bit of a problem with them, as I expected to have. But I discovered I qualified for veterans tuition at the university, and I never dreamed of going to a university, but here was the opportunity, and I wasn't going to give it up. And during those days, they were probably the happiest days of my life. When I think about them, I think of living a dream. Excuse me. out in the field we go, up in the hills we go, dragging our paints and our easels and all of that good stuff. And I met a friend in the class there, Frank Erickson, who became a kind of a painting buddy. And we painted everything. And everywhere we'd go, we'd take our paints. There was the decision as to what to do when I got out of college. Well, there wasn't much that a person with my background in college could do except work and paint. So I signed up as an art teacher. And what did I get to teach? Art, straight art. I taught 6 classes of art back to back, all the way from the 7th graders up to the 9th graders. And did I have a ball? Those 7th graders were just fabulous little kids, and we had a lot of fun doing different things like going out and seining some fish out of a ditch and bringing them into the classroom and painting them. We did that with birds too, because I also had some experience in biology, and I had some specimens that I'd collected with the class under Dr. Bailey. I would take the mounted birds in, and we'd all draw those birds. That was a wonderful time. But then the higher education called, and I couldn't make up my mind, but ultimately I decided I was going to move to higher education, and I found myself in the place I got my education in college, the University of Utah, and it was a strange sort of a mixture of things, not only art, but also learning, education, and audiovisual stuff. And I found myself doing a lot of things I'd never done before, like making film strips and doing photography and all of this type of thing. And when I got the chance, however, to retire and paint full-time, almost, unless my wife made me cut the lawn or something. So I gathered up my meager art supply, and we built a studio in the house, and here I am with my grandson talking about all of this and reliving it, with an easel sitting at my side and a painting on the easel. So it seems that I've come full circle, and in more ways than one, because next week I'll be 90 years old. And that's all, folks.